Hey everyone, it's video blog time. I was thinking this kind of video blog kind of feels like old school now. Like just talking to the camera for like an extended period of time. Now, granted, a lot of people still do it, but with 30-second to minute long videos and shorter, to be honest, uh, being the more normal thing on social media nowadays, like it just feels like it's old school. But we still need it because I can't explain myself in a minute always. So, and I am kind of old myself, so it makes sense. So, anyways, so Spotify, I probably should have researched this more, but I've seen people are talking about it. I've seen different articles about it somewhat. I've never really, like I said, dived into it completely, but I am a musician that releases music on Spotify and, of course, other digital platforms. But, so it does concern me when I read stuff and, 2024, they're going to have a new threshold for artists to reach. It's 1,000 streams per song, and I don't know the details of this exactly. Like, okay, once you get 1,000 streams, is that it for good? That song makes money for good, or do you have to keep a certain threshold? Like, you get 1,000 streams, and then you don't get that many streams, and then it goes like it's gone. You don't make money from it again. Like, I don't know. I don't know the details. I'm thinking once it gets 1,000, like that's it. It makes money from there on out. That would be good. That would be a better thing. But anyways, so I want to talk a little bit about that. First, I do want to mention that I do have a new song called "Under the Lemon Tree." Let me say that slower. "Under the Lemon Tree." By the way, I bought this recently. This little My Arcade. It's like a what is it? What do they call it? Micro arcade machine. It's really cool. This Galaga. Anyways, I didn't think I was gonna show this, but it's right here and it's really cool. It plays like the real thing. It's quite fun. Anyways, and they have more of them than just that game. Anyways, if you're into retro gaming sort of thing. Anyways, so yeah. Speaking of kind of retro pop punk, well, this new song I have, "Under the Lemon Tree," is a pop punk song. And now, if you're familiar with my project, my songs, pop punk is kind of comes back every now and then with me. It's when it was the first genre of music that when I became a singer songwriter, in my teenage years, that's the genre that I started off in. And to be honest, it's never really left me. When I write songs, I start off in a pop punk style, and then not always, but most of the time, that's how for example, I'll pick up a guitar and even if it's like, I'll write like that, and then I'll change it around in the studio once I get in here. Do I want to keep it like that? Do I want to make it a pop song, or you get the point. But over the years, especially more recently, I've sort of started missing the genre to the point where I'm like, I want to record more pop punk songs, to be honest. I can't call myself a pop punk artist because I have over 120 original songs, and the majority of them don't really sound like pop punk. So I stay with pop. I'm a pop rock artist, but in the more recent, my more recent offerings have, So Much, Lost Cause, now Under the Lemon Tree. These are all close enough to be called pop punk, in my opinion. And it's more in more recent years I've kind of been going back here and there, and I want to stay there for a little bit because it's I love the genre. A lot of people hate the genre, but I really love it, and it's very special to me. And by the way, most of my songs can be played like that. I mean, if you're familiar with my songs, Top Power, I just released it a few months ago. The main riff is. So you get the point. You can play it. You can play all. You can basically play all my songs like that, in that a little bit more in that pop punk style. I kind of want to do that, and see how it goes. Anyways, that really was not the subject of this, and we're almost 5 minutes into it. I'm so sorry. But anyways, so yes, I have a lot of songs on Spotify, and now I'm finding out that in 2024 you got to reach a threshold. Well, I got like 120 songs, and only one of them has 1,000 streams. And I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see if that one automatically is like, oh, I'm getting royalties from it. I mean, I wouldn't, because it hardly ever gets streamed. I have a song called "Love Will Save the World Tonight." I wrote it in 2011, I believe, and released it around there. Um, and for whatever reason, in fact, I kind of know. Back in 2011, there was a song that came out that had a similar name, and I think the algorithm, or however it works, like, I think it got like in the search of that song, it got in there somehow, and it got a lot of streams because of that, but then quickly stopped. The algorithm probably got smart. If whether even an algorithm that was being used for social media in 2011, I don't know. um, I'm not the smartest at that sort of thing, but you know how you would get promoted like in a search, like you search something, a particular particular popular song, and mine somehow got mixed up in that, because it had a similar name. That's how I think it got a lot of streams, because Love Will Save the World Tonight got a lot of streams on Spotify and on YouTube. So, and it was the same song that I would see get mixed up with the searches. So that's my theory. Um, but anyways, it's got over 1,000 streams on Spotify. So will it cross the threshold? Because it doesn't really get streamed much anymore. It's like, since it hit 1,000 like years ago, it's gotten like 30 streams since then. So it's like, yeah, kind of silly that would cross the threshold, but the ones that get more streams now that aren't at 1,000 are not. So this is my real thoughts on it, because I see a lot of people that maybe are not musicians kind of weighing in, and people will say something like, well, does it really matter that you don't get your $5 to $10 check, or your $5 to $10 royalty, and when you put it like that, no, obviously, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily need a $5 to $10 royalty check. Does it feel nice to see it? And by the way, I get slightly more than that. So if we're being, uh, detailed here, I do get more than that. And so do I want my $25 royalty or my $40 royalty? I mean, yeah, I would, but I only have one song above 1,000. So I see a lot of people say, well, this is kind of like separating the people that are serious to the hobbyists. I can tell you that music, there are people that see music as a hobby. There are, for sure. But I mean, I don't want to do the percentages here because I don't really know. But like, say you're a doctor and you start playing guitar and you start recording your music. I don't think there's a lot that are doing that. Like, if you're a doctor and you take up the guitar and maybe you get some lessons, I don't know that you're going to be recording that quickly, If you are a doctor that's recording, you probably have done it for a long time, to where you did it maybe even before you were a doctor, And so at that point, what was not a hobby at one point has now kind of resorted to being a hobby. So it begs the question, is it really a hobby, or is it an old passion that you have found time for while having a career in another field? It's not really a hobby to that many people when you're at the point that you're releasing it. It's a long shot hope. You know what I mean? Like, it's you might see it like, yeah, you know what, I'll throw it on Spotify. There's always that little hope that maybe someone will hear it, right? Maybe 1,000 people will hear it. Yeah, it's a long shot, but it's like, why not, right? That's how I think a lot of people see it. So if that's what you're talking about as a hobbyist, okay, that's fine, but I don't think a lot of these people see it that way. And it would be wrong to call these people hobbyists if they don't want to be called hobbyists. They're not hobbyists. They're musicians. yeah, they might be, you know, a lawyer on the side, but oh, well, I don't know about on the side, but they might be a lawyer and be a musician on the side. But it doesn't mean it's just a hobby. They could still be passionate about it, you know, and getting $20 off a song, you know, here and there is it's kind of cool. But okay, I already know that if you're in the camp of, oh, you know, tough luck, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, it's late. If you're in the camp that's like, this sucks, you know, the big company Spotify, how dare you, you know, mess with the little artist. I already know that that's the losing side because who's going to come to the aid of small artists? Nobody is. No one is. And I'm not talking about people that game the system. Like I hear a lot of people upload hour-long videos of white noise or you know, that sort of thing. That's a whole nother thing. I don't know anything about that. And I know some people do that. That's a whole nother world. I have no idea. But maybe they need to take care of that some sort of way because people have found ways of making maybe money off that. I don't know. I'm not even talking about that because I have no idea about it. But I'm talking about people that artists that record their songs, upload them, and then they get stuck at around 30 views, you know, 30 streams or some maybe 300. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can get 700 and you're still not going to pass the threshold. You know, and 700's quite a bit of streams on a song. For a small artist, it is. So my point is, this is the losing side, isn't it? I don't think I've seen Taylor Swift in the past help the smaller artist, but I just don't think that it's going to happen this time. I don't think artists are going to get, because they say it's going to help the artist that's smaller, but you know, still it's their career. They're doing, it's not their, you know, hobby, whatever that means, but it'll help them. So that basically takes care of this whole situation for you. Because there's a whole sliver, and this is the big sliver, of artists like me, like you. You are not a hobbyist. I am not a hobbyist musician. I mean, I have 120 something songs, original songs on Spotify. I recorded all of them. I recorded every instrument. You know, not that I maybe should have. Maybe I should have gotten other people to help me. But so far on all my songs, other than one, I have recorded every single instrument on all my songs. That's work. It took a lot of work to do that. And then I also engineer them. I produce them. I mix and most of the time master my own songs. You know, maybe that's crazy, but that's just how it's been. That's how it worked out for me. There's some songs have been harder than others to finish. Some of my songs get on playlists, but I've never gotten a song on a playlist that just really skyrockets my views. Maybe bad luck, maybe bad timing, maybe whatever it is. I haven't gotten that. That's okay. I'm still pushing forward. But I'm not going to hit this threshold, okay? Like, I'm not. And I have songs, I'll tell you right now. Singer-songwriter talking about his own songs being good. I have songs like Lighthouse. And you can hear these songs. You can look these up. I have a song called Lighthouse. I have a song called When the Rain Hits the Dirt. I have a song called Let Me Be Yours. I have a song called, let's see, newer ones. Under the Lemon Tree. That just came out. Top Power. Starlight. These are songs that I've had good feedback on. So it's one of those things like, oh, you can't think your own songs are good. You got to have other people have to make that up for you. I agree. These are the songs that I know for a fact I've gotten good feedback from. Let Me Be Yours, When the Rain Hits the Dirt, Lighthouse, Under the Lemon Tree. I've already gotten good feedback from the new one, and Starlight from earlier this year. Visions and Voices is another one that came out recently that I've had some good feedback on here and there. What else? Oh, Beauty Lotto from years back. I have a couple versions of it, and both of them have gotten good reviews, good feedback from people. They're not viral, they're small still. But as a small artist, you can still know which songs got beyond my opinion of it. You know, because I can think songs are good, but if someone doesn't listen to it and tell me or tell somebody else, well, then it's just in here, and that's not good enough. These songs, and I'll make it even easier. Let Me Be Yours and Lighthouse. Those songs, I know, are solid songs. They're even recorded well. Oh, Chris, that's cocky. You shouldn't say that. I've heard enough that people like those songs that I can say it's like having a business and getting reviews, you know? Once you get enough reviews, it's like, okay, well, we obviously do this well. You know, we shouldn't sleep on it. We should still try to do well in these areas, but we've already been told we do this good. Okay, Let Me Be Yours and Lighthouse, I've heard enough about them to know that people tend to, generally speaking, people tend to like those two. Lighthouse has like 60 streams on Spotify. Let Me Be Yours, which is probably my most popular song to date. That came out in 2009. That was one of my first songs in this project. Let Me Be Yours is probably my most popular song. For many reasons. And on Spotify, it has like 300, 400 streams. Since 2015, that's when I uploaded to Spotify. Those are some of my better songs, but I can't get to 1,000. You know, so am I complaining? It may sound like I am, but this is the conclusion that I will come to. Is that regardless how I feel about it, I have to accept it. And there's some good silver linings with this. If you're like me, if you're listening to this and you're like me and you're in that position, maybe you don't have 120 songs. You don't have to have 120 songs. Sometimes I wish I didn't have 120 songs because it's a lot. That's a lot, and I've recorded them at home. They don't have a larger-than-life studio sound. They don't have larger-than-life music videos, which is a whole nother subject. I do my own videos. They're all this stuff is DIY. And maybe I should have released 30 original songs that are like incredibly recorded with incredible music videos, and the chance that I might be slightly more streamed if that was the case. But at the same time, if I had to pick, I'm fine with it because I like a lot of these songs. I like my songs. I really, really do. I like to play my songs. Some of them wouldn't exist, and if I had 30 songs, and you know, I'd run out of songs to play pretty quickly. So I'm happy with the way it is, but there's nothing wrong with being the other way. Nothing. So it's not like if you have 10 great original songs, then more power to you. There's no right or wrong. It's just now with that said, it might be easier for you to cross those 1,000 thresholds with less, to be honest. So that's the good part. If you have a few songs, you know, get them past the 1,000, and that's a good way to start with this new threshold thing. With me, I'm not gonna get 120 songs over 1,000. So I'm just shooting for like one or two right now, and not the one that I already have, because that's an older song. I don't see that getting that many more plays, to be honest. But like my latest three, you know, Under the Lemon Tree, Top Power, and maybe the next one I release. These I really want to focus on getting them over 1,000, because if you get the newest ones over, and then people might trickle to the older stuff, and go from there. Because we live in a time now where that's how people are. You just kind of, do people even go down timelines anymore? Like say on Instagram or on Facebook. Do people think about Facebook? Do people even click on albums, photo albums? No, not really. Even big artists, like, go look at the amount of likes they have on some like their older pictures or like their album pictures. It's not a lot. Like, people don't go into things anymore like that. Like, it's crazy. That's why I said this feels like old school, these videos at 20 minutes. So at the end of the day, I think you just gotta roll with it and think, if you're an artist, like if you actually are not a hobbyist musician, which is someone who records music and puts it on and has a hope that these songs can be heard. And a lot of people that work really hard hate the word hope, and they hate the word like a luck, because this stuff exists. People have hope, And some hardworking person might say, "Well, I don't care about that. I just want to work hard, and my I'll make my luck." But everyone has luck here and there, regardless of how hard you work. Sometimes luck happens out of nowhere to someone who didn't work that hard. It's just right thing at the right time. That does exist, but I wouldn't want to bet on that. I wouldn't want to, just sit back and think, oh, maybe I'll get lucky one day. That's obviously the wrong way to go about things, but let's face it, luck does happen every now and then. It's a part of music. It's a part of anything. It's a part of life. But obviously, working passionately and hard, and these are things that we all should be second nature. We know this. And I think this rule from Spotify, this threshold, by the way, I'm sure there's other things come in 2024 that I don't know about, but this is the one I keep seeing people talk about. It could push you over that edge. Like, why do my songs not have over 1,000? It's my fault. Maybe it's my fault. I just didn't promote them right. I don't want to say jump to the next song, because in this day and age, you almost kind of have to jump to the next song quickly. But I should spend more time in making sure they do get over those thresholds, On YouTube, I don't do too bad. On YouTube, it's getting better and better. The shorts on YouTube have given me an opportunity to keep my channel rolling and to keep people coming in, whether I'm singing, a karaoke track of someone else's song, like a cover, or if I'm playing my own songs for a minute long. These are things that I can do over and over and over again. And it just, and by the way, if you follow my channel and you're still listening, that is why I do that. I'll play the same part of, good night for moonlight, this is where my heart resides. You might be like, how many times are you going to play that? Well, as many times as I want, because it's a short. It doesn't really litter the channel. It stays in the shorts category, and just, I keep going with them, So, yeah, you can do that. And it's helped me with my channel. I'm almost at 1 million views on my channel, because I can just keep going with them. But anyways, so YouTube's given me an opportunity to keep growing, and so people do listen to the songs here. It's kind of pointless to tell people to go hear me on Spotify when they can hear them right here on YouTube. So it's not for me, it's like, I've even seen my Amazon numbers. They're okay, actually. I'm doing better on Amazon than on Spotify, to be honest. Spotify is it's weird to me. It's weird to me. Now, this is not a woe is me, because if I'm doing this, if this is happening to me, then it's happening to everybody, just in different ways. And let me give you an example. Have you ever looked at your Spotify analytics? If you're on Spotify, you got Spotify for Artists, probably, so you can design your own page on Spotify and that sort of thing. Have you ever noticed that when you look at your Spotify algorithm, I mean, you're like the listeners. Let's focus on listeners, because that's what everybody wants. A lot of listeners per month. Have you ever noticed that when you look at the listeners, like, it almost looks like an algorithm? Like, say a band gets 200 listeners per month, and it's not an ad. It's not some sort of ad sponsored content that brought people in, because if that's the case, you'll get those views and they'll go back down to what they normally are at, maybe a tad higher because of the ad. You'll go up and you'll go down. But when you start getting these, like, this natural walk-in crowd, you're naturally around 50 listeners per month. It's very rare to me that you go from there. Like it's almost like Spotify, like, oh, this is the amount of people that are listening, and they find a way to kind of keep it there, if that makes any sense. And it won't go too much lower than that. I have found that to be the case. It's really weird to me, because and it makes it hard to not grow luckily. Not that you want to grow luckily, but there's no walk-in crowd on Spotify. It's hardly, maybe one every month or something. There's hardly any walk-in crowd. Like, people just don't. They're on Spotify. Oh, hey, here's Chris Sky. It's too much. It's not gonna happen. So, like, on mine, like right now, I have 15 listeners per month, and I'm like, looking at the at the listeners per month, and I'm like, that looks like an algorithm to me. Like, I'll get 1, and then 2, and then 3. Oh, here it goes. I'm 1, and then 2, and then 7 days of nothing, and then 2, and then 1, and then 3. Oh, here we go. 7 days of nothing. Like, doesn't that seem like an algorithm that's like, if there were some listeners in those 7-day period, like they're just not going through? This is just a theory. But it does seem like that. Like, I figure that that instead of getting like 3, 4, 5, and then nothing for 7 days, it would be like 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 0, and then 2, and then 1, and then 1, and then 3. Like, I don't know, the 7 days of nothing, it feels weird. It feels weird. Maybe if you get way more plays than me, you see it also, but in a different level, like 70 listeners a day, and then 79 listeners a day, and then all of a sudden you get 20. I don't know, maybe. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. It's kind of odd that it seems like that. Yet on YouTube, well, that's never the case. I'm always getting streams every day. Not a ton, but just here and there. People hear my songs every day on YouTube. There's never a time where it's just like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's interesting. Anyway, so just to conclude this, because it's already almost 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna do things that help the bigger artists, that help themselves, and if lots of artists are on Spotify and clogging the system, I don't see it that way, but if that's how they see it, well then, if you're in the position where you're releasing songs and you're serious about it, then it's gonna have to push you over that edge of just what else can you do to cross that 1,000 threshold. I think I'm one of those that, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't really like sponsored content. I don't like to do it. Maybe one day I'll do it more. But I feel like the best thing is real. Like when you have that song or you have that timing that's just real, it's hard to beat that. Like something's rolling for you and there's no ads. It's just real. Maybe that's faulty thinking on my end. Maybe when you get something that's rolling, that's when you should go in there with sponsored content or ads, But I'd rather have 100 monthly listeners that literally are listening and coming back than 1,000 that I paid for, and then eventually it's just going to go back down. Not about numbers like that anymore, because it just doesn't matter. What does it matter if I made like a fake million views on my Spotify? It's just gonna go back down, and I'd rather it be real. So I think this could push artists to work a little bit harder, maybe a little harder on branding and promoting and marketing for your product. If you're not if you're doing this not as a hobby, and if you're not, then I know it's kind of hurtful when you to hear it that way from like Spotify, like trying to like, calling us that we're not serious and stuff like that. But if you are, and if you're not, well then you're just gonna have to show them. You just have to show them that you're not, and that might be something different for you than it is for me. But you just gotta make it happen. You gotta make it happen to be on that side of the threshold. And once you're there, you're probably gonna be like, oh yeah, well, I'm on this side of the threshold, so but yeah, it could be a something with a silver lining for us artists that don't instantly meet the threshold. Like with me, like I said, I'm not gonna hit it with all my songs instantly, or ever, but I can start off with a few and go from there. So, anyways, that's coming soon. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Everything's just so crazy right now in this world, and music is just a small piece of all this, and it's very important, but it's a small piece to all this, and there's just so much changing, and I'm always someone who says it's very important that people still listen to music, and not just kind of like roll through 20 seconds and then change it in 20 seconds, and listen to music. It's something you listen to. You don't always like every song you hear right away. It takes a few listens, and in this day and age of just scrolling and all that stuff, like it's not easy to still be a good music listener. And what chance do the small artists have? Well, the only chance you have is to make yourself a slightly bigger, smaller artist, and that just that's up to you how you want to do that. So anyways, just wanted to talk about that. I hope it all made sense. All right, rock on.